Hello everyone. In today's topic we are going to discuss about the introduction of electrocardiogram. So far we have discussed about the anatomy and physiology of the heart, the cardiac cycle and all. So in this topic we are going to study about the basic things which we need to know before how to interpret an ECG. So we will study the basic things, why heart is having some electrical activity, that and all we'll study about in this topic, okay? So, introduction. ECG is the tool used to visualize the electricity that flows through the heart. So, the heart is having some electrical activity which is being taking place, and the tool which is used to visualize what electrical activity, how much the intensity of the electrical activity, that is called as the ECG machine. So, here you can see the ECG machine, and ECG means E means the electro means something related to electricity, and C related to cardiac means what is that? It related to heart. G means graph, so gram means the graph, something dealing with the graph, so that is called as the ECG. So the electrical changes which is taking place in the heart, which is being recorded and it is being transferred to this graph form, so that we are able to see what is the electrical activity which is taking place inside the heart. So in the body, tissues and fluids conduct electricity well. The body consists of tissues and fluids around, no? So that is having the property of carrying electricity, of conducting electricity. So that's why the electrical activity in the heart can be recorded on the skin surface using electrodes which are positioned on the limbs and the chest. Here you can see the electrodes are being placed in the limbs and the hands and in the legs, and the electrodes are placing is on the skin. But how come they are able to record the electrical activity of the heart? Because the electrodes which are being placed and the tissues and the fluids, they conduct electricity. So that's why we are able to record the electrical changes which is taking place in the heart. So this recording is called as an electrocardiogram, which shows the spread of the electrical signal which are generated by the SA node as it travels through the atrium, the AV node and the ventricles. Here you can see in the heart, this is the SA node, this is the pacemaker of the heart. So the SA node is there. So it is the one which starts the impulse, and the impulse is being carried over the atrium, that is over the upper chamber of the heart, and from there the impulses are being transferred to this AV node. From the AV node it is being taken into the bundle of his and the Purkinje fibers, and it will contract the ventricles. So this is how the electrical signals are being transferred from here, the atrium, and to the ventricles. So this is what happening. We will study in detail about this. So here you can see the P wave, the QRS and the T wave. So these are the 5 waves which are being seen in the ECG machine. In the ECG graph we can see it just being recorded by the ECG machine. And what happens first is the contraction of the atrium. This upper chamber of the heart, it contracts first. Then what happened? The lower chamber contracts, the blood flowing from the atrium to the ventricles, and the ventricles will contract and the ventricles will relax. So we will see one by one what happening. Okay. So here you can see the normal heartbeat. The normal heartbeats will be very equal, and all the 5 waves, the P, QRS and the T wave, all the wave will be present in the normal heartbeat. But in a fast heartbeat you can see they are very nearby, and the regular intervals is, if it is regular intervals is also there means, but it is very nearby. So it shows that the heart is beating very fast. In slow heartbeat what happens? It will be very sluggish, and there will be too much of intervals will be there between one beat and the other beat. So that it represents it as slow heartbeat. And the irregular heartbeat means there will be no proper interval. Sometimes it is be very congested and it's very fast. It will be sometime it is very slow. So very irregular intervals are being taking place in the irregular heartbeat. So we will see one by one in detail. So introduction. The normal ECG shows 5 waves which are P, Q, R, S and T. As we seen that the 5 waves are there. It shows the depolarization of the heart which carries positive charge. So here the depolarization means the contraction of the heart. Even if it is the ventricles or it is the atrium, the depolarization happens, and this means the contraction of the heart which carries the positive charge. So the positive charge is the upper the waves are going upwards, no, that is called as the positive deflection. If it is a negative deflection, it will come down. Okay, positive means it is high, it means that the contraction is being taking place. Okay. So the PQRST waves, the P wave arises when the impulse from the SA node travels over the atria in the atrial depolarization. As I already told that depolarization means the contraction. So atrial depolarization means the contraction of the atrium. Here you can see the atrium. So this is the upper chambers are called the atrium. So this SA node which produce the impulse, which is the triggering one which produces the impulses first, and it contracts the atrium first. So this is what happens in the atrial depolarization. So when the atrium, here you can see this is a horizontal view. When the atrium is contracting, this is the atrium, when the atrium is contracting, what arises? The P wave arises. The P wave, if there is any problem in the P wave, the P wave is not normal or regular, it means that the atrium is having some problem. So that's why there is a change in the P wave, if you can remember, just like that. So you have to know that due to the contraction of the atrium only the P waves takes place. Next is the QRS complex, which represents the very rapid speedy spread of the impulse from the AV node through the AV bundle, Purkinje fibers to the ventricles, and the electrical activity of the ventricle muscle happens is called as ventricular depolarization. So after atrium depolarization, what depolarizes? The ventricle depolarizes. So one, if it is shrinking, then the other ventricle, they also start to shrink. But where the electrical impulse is being carried from, so from the SA node it is carried to the AV node, and from the AV node to the ventricles to contract, it takes away the bundle of his, it travels, and it to the Purkinje fibers, it carries everything, and the ventricle starts to contract means it will shrink. Okay, so what happens? The blood from the atrium will come to the ventricles, no, so from the ventricles it will go to the pulmonary artery and the aorta. So this is what happens in the ventricular depolarization. So the ventricle depolarization, no, when it happens, you can see the blue lines. So the ventricle depolarization causes the QRS complex. So this is the waves. If there is any problem in the QRS, it means that the problem is there in the ventricles. Okay. So there is a delay between the completion of the P wave and the onset of the QRS complex. Here you can see after the completion of the P wave and the starting of the QRS complex, there is a delay. No? So this represents the conduction of impulse through the AV node, which is slower and allows the atrium contraction to finish completely before the ventricle contraction starts. So here you can see the atrium is starting contraction. It is going to shrink, and it allows all the blood from the atrium to allow to go into the ventricles. So once the complete shrinkage it happens, what happens, when the atrium will relax and the contraction will start in the ventricles. As you see, this yellow one is the contraction, that is the depolarization. It happens in the ventricles and the whole ventricles will contract. So what happens next? The ventricles will relax completely, and again the atrium will start contraction. So this is it's a cycle process which happens again. So this is what we studied in the cardiac cycle. If you have any doubts, you just refer to my previous video where you have a detailed description about the cardiac cycle. So this is where this PR segment is happening, because the atrium has to completely contract and the AV node has to, as we seen in the earlier one, no. So the AV node will get the signal and it has to travel through the bundle of his to the Purkinje fibers. It has to travel. At that time, what happens? The atrium will relax and the ventricle will start their start their contraction. So that's why there is a delay, small delay. This PR segment is there. Okay. So the T wave represents the relaxation of the ventricular muscles, is known as the ventricular repolarization. Here you can see one wave. This is the ventricles starting to repolarize. So that wave is called as the T wave. Okay. So the atrium repolarization, which is the relaxation of the atrium, occurs during the ventricle contraction, as it's not seen because of the larger QRS complex. So this atrial repolarization and the ventricles depolarization, that means the atrium relaxation and the ventricles which is shrinking, it happens both at the same time. So this atrium relaxation is not very obvious. That is what they are mentioning here. So the ECG originates from the SA node and is called as the sinus rhythm. So if there is a normal heartbeat and there is if the atrium, the SA node is triggering the heartbeat, and that is called as the normal sinus rhythm. So if they are telling it's a sinus rhythm, it means that that is a normal and there is no any deviations. Okay, the rate of the sinus rhythm is 60 to 100 beats per minute. So that is the normal heartbeat, which can ranges from 60 to 100 BPM, it's beats per minute. A faster heart rate is tachycardia and a slower heart rate is called bradycardia. So if you are a first year, you will come across this word tachy and brady. So you remember that tachy means very fast. Tachy, okay, that means very fast. Tachycardia, faster heartbeat. And brady, it means very, when we are saying itself, it will be very dragging, no, brady. So that means it is a very slow heartbeat. So that is called as bradycardia. So I forgot to mention about the this one, the value. So if tachycardia means if it is more than 100, we call this as tachycardia, and bradycardia means if it is less than 60, we call it as bradycardia. Okay, so this is the thing. So by examining the pattern of the waves and the time intervals between the cycle and parts of the cycle, the state of the myocardium and the cardiac condition of the system is obtained. So as we already see that because of the waves, so how the intensity, what is the interval, whether they are all the waves are present, whether they are very fast, whether they are very slow, whether they are irregular. By means of these waves, we will be able to study about the heart, the myocardium, the layers of the heart, and how much the electrical impulses which is being taking place. Everything we can study through this ECG. So here there is a small chart which will be able to easily understand. So first the atrial depolarization, that means the atrium will start shrinking and it causes the P wave to occur, and there is a delay of the AV node. So this line is because of the delay of the AV node. From the SA node till the AV node, the signals will be transferred little slow, so that causes a delay. Then the ventricular depolarization occurs. It means the QRS complex, ventricle depolarization, the ventricle will start contraction, and the ventricular repolarization, that causes the T wave. And there is isoelectric line means, so isoelectrical line means no electrical activity. If there is no electrical activity, it causes the isoelectric line. It means a flat straight line, that is called as an isoelectric line. So this is the 12 lead ECG electrode. So many of you have been seeing all the electrodes and everything. So we will detailedly study about this in my next topic, but I am just giving an introduction. So there will be 6 chest leads, that is the V1, V2, V3, V4, V5 and V6. These are the 6 chest leads, and there will be 4 limb leads. So one at the both the hands, one at one hand and this one at hand, and another at the both the limbs. So this is the all the leads which is being taking place at the ECG pattern. So here you can see there will be colors. So right, left, there are a few colors. So how you can understand this and how you can memorize this is, so if there is a fire, there will be smoke on the top. So you can study as red, and if there is a smoke, it will be black in color. So the left arm will be black and the left leg will be red. Okay, so when there is snow on the leaves, so you can memorize that the leaves will be down, so the right will be green, and the white color will be on the top, the snow will be on the top of the leaf, so it is on the right arm. So green and white, red and black. So you just memorize it, because we have to study this. If there is no identification, we have to place it properly on whichever part that is. So that's why. And this is a 360 degree, a total complete. So you can see here the leads are being placed, no, so it has to place in a proper place. If they are misplaced, then the correct ECG which we cannot be taken. So why is, here you can see this is a triangle, you can see, it's called the Einthoven triangle, where you can see here in the ECG strip you can see as 1 2 3 AVF, AVL, AVR and all. So what is this means? It shows the complete 360 degree of the heart. So the complete, we don't want, if we are placing the leads in this position only, we can take a complete 360 degree of the heart, so that we will be able to know what is where, which is not functioning properly, and why the electrical activity, which place is not getting any electrical activity, and which part is damaged and all. So because of this we are able to get it. Okay, so we will study about this in details in the next topic. Okay, so this is the basic of the dipole electrode. So as you can see, there is a dipole, means two poles will be there. So a negative pole will be there and a positive pole will be there. So the cells are negatively charged and it's slightly positively charged in the outside environment. So the cells usually in the muscles will be negatively charged, and the fluids outside will be positively charged. When depolarization occurs, the cells become slightly positive inside and negative outside the environment. Here you can see, when they are depolarized, what happened? The positive charge will come inside and the negative will go outside. So the electrodes detect the charge outside the cell. As we know that the electrodes are placed on the skin surface, so it detects only the electrical activity which is being placed outside the environment, that is outside the skin it's happening. Usually the dipole will be more towards the positive electrode. So wherever the positive electrodes are there only the dipole will be more effective. So you can see here the dipole is positive here. Okay, so what happens? The deflection is going towards the positive side. So if the deflection is here, you can see here it is positive, and here it is negative. In the dipole there are 2 points, no, so here it is negative, so it is like opposite to opposite, so there is a negative deflection. Here you can see both are positive, so there is a positive deflection. Okay, so when like that, we will be able to understand a positive deflection and a negative deflection. Okay, so if there is no line, means there will be no charge, nothing will be taken. No deflection means no charge is being produced. So that is what happening. So the bigger the dipole is, bigger the deflection. So if the dipole is bigger, then the deflection will be very bigger. So when resting charge will be negative, there is no dipole, so no deflection. Here you can see there is no dipole and there is here this one. So there is no dipole and no deflection is there. When the vector dipole goes to the opposite electrode, there will be a negative deflection. Here you can see there is a negative, because here negative and there is a positive. So because why I am teaching you this is, when we are able to interpret how ECG is working out, then you will know why we need to study the basics of a dipole electrode. Okay, so this is a very basic information. First you understand this. In next topic we will see how we have to interpret an ECG, what are the methods, if there is a 360 degree, if which part is being affected, and what will happen to which wave. So that we will study about the in the next topic. Okay, if you have any doubts, please post in the comment section below. Thank you so much.